What's up? It's Filthy Casual coming at you with a video with that. A little bit later in the day than I normally make them, but a good thing I waited because we got two big pieces of news. One was that DeAndre Ayton and the Pacers agreed to a 4-year deal for, I believe the number is $133 million over 4 years. Um, Not particularly surprising. Just that the Pacers and Ayton have already been in trade talks. I think it's a good spot for his career. Tyrese Halliburton is a fantastic passer. Probably one of the best players he could play, young players, I should say, he could choose to play with, where he's still going to be featured in the offense in a more major kind of way, which has kind of been the criticism that the Suns have of him. They feel like he's not a major building block offensively for the future, and that's why they don't feel he's a max player. And because that's their decision to make. However, losing him for nothing is definitely worst case scenario for them because they don't really have a ton of assets, really. And the sign and trade is going to be tricky because now the offer sheet is there. They have 48 hours to match. This is the first, keep in mind, this is the first offer sheet the Pacers have done in like 40 years. So losing a guy to somebody doing something this rare for them basically means that somebody's effing up. It's either the Pacers or the Suns. In my opinion, it's probably the Suns, just because I'm not that high on him. I don't think he's a max player. However, I don't know how the Suns pivot away from it. He was their number one overall pick. You pick this guy instead of Luka. Now, just because you made that mistake doesn't mean you should pot commit to another mistake. However, at this point, it already feels like it's already a loss. I don't know who they would be able to get back in return. Miles Turner's on an expiring, so at best you get Miles Turner and you maybe get some picks for him. But it's like at that point, it's like you've got Chris Paul who's aging out, and already you're in this messed up situation in which you've put yourself in, and it seems to be the off season of fumbling star players. The Nets did it, the Suns are doing it, and maybe maybe the Jazz and Knicks are going to do it, and that's the other thing that I really wanted to talk about. The other piece of news that really broke is that the Knicks and the Jazz, no surprise, are talking about Donovan Mitchell. I've been seeing some crazy crazy pick compensation that is being suggested on TV. I think Bobby Marks said, "Oh, like 7 picks will do it." Like, bro. But the picks are really what, depending on the pick, is really what it is. So basically, the deal that got it done for Rudy Gobert, I'll pull it up just so that I do not make any mistakes. But the Jazz basically got uh 3 unprotected first rounders, or it might have been 4. This article isn't saying. But I believe it was 3 unprotected first round picks, and then 1 in 2029 that was lightly protected, top 5 protected in 2029. But it was 2023, 2025, and 2027 that were all unprotected, and then they had 1 extra pick swap, the top 5 protected, and a couple of players being Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, and their first round pick, and Jared Vanderbilt. So their recent first round pick, which everybody's claiming is another first round pick, which is fair. I don't think the Knicks should give up anywhere near this amount for Donovan Mitchell. It's not worth it. If we look at what the New York Knicks have to trade, if we look at their roster and the players, and well, first let's talk of picks. What picks can we offer? Well, we'll get to the players later. So we've got the 3 picks that we got from draft night, which is the Nuggets, Pistons, Wizards picks. for next year, I believe. We have a top 10 protected pick from the Mavericks from next year. There is a Hornets pick, I believe. Yeah, there's a Hornets pick, a Hawks pick, and a Spurs pick. So yeah, there's a lot of protected picks that we have in the upcoming years. And these are, I'm just talking about first rounders. The Knicks themselves, we have our first round picks from 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, 27, 28, 29, and 30. We have all of our first round picks. So how deep in the hole would we be willing to go? I don't think we should offer. Well. Let's consider doing a similar trade to Rudy Gobert, where we've got these alternating years unprotected picks. They're probably going to want a similar amount of those unprotected picks, which would be in the 3 range, and then we could probably get some protections on the 4th. Is what they would theoretically want. The Jazz, that is. So that would be an unprotected pick in 2023. Presumably, if we get Donovan Mitchell, will be good. Doesn't matter if it's got no protections. 2025, this is us. And the fact that it's 2 years down the road, just 2 years down the road, and already I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I don't want to have to give him that pick. Because Donovan Mitchell is on a 3+1 deal. So that means he has 3 years guaranteed, and then the 4th is a player option. Donovan Mitchell, I love Donovan Mitchell. He's a great player. I did a little bit of a thing on him in my previous video where I looked at his stats and what he can give you. But the thing is, he's not really a passer. And that's not to say he's a bad passer. But what this roster really needs is passing. Now, that isn't to say Donovan Mitchell isn't a better piece to build around than the stuff that we currently have on the roster, but we would theoretically want to add him to this roster. And now, just assume we don't have to give up any players. Let's just say it was an Evan Fournier, Donovan Mitchell, 1-for-1 with a bunch of draft compensation. So now the Knicks starting 5. I'm just gonna pull up the roster to make sure I don't leave anybody off. But the Knicks starting 5 should be Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Donovan Mitchell, R.J. Barrett, and then I'm assuming we aren't going to start Derrick Rose, even though I think he's the best point guard on the roster. I presume we're probably going to be starting Evan Fournier in this situation, Evan Fournier or Emmanuel Quickly. I think starting Derrick Rose would be the best thing for that. But so I'm gonna just put Derrick Rose in that starting spot. So that's our 5, right? So is the 5 of Derrick Rose, Donovan Mitchell, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, and R.J. Barrett good enough to win? Let's say get to the conference finals, because once you get to the conference finals, that's kind of where the true test of the playoffs comes. That's when defense matters the most. That's when scoring matters the most. That's when these passing and schemes matter. That's when every little thing matters. Can this team do that? I don't think so. Unless, it would be a major bet on Julius Randle returning somewhat to form. Right? That's what the trade would say. The trade would say, hey, Julius Randle is good enough to be the second best player on a championship team. Right? Because Donovan Mitchell, clearly better than Julius Randle. And RJ Barrett, while could be better than Julius Randle, right now he's still going through some of the early, not rookie, but rookie contract like growing pains where, sometimes he looks fantastic, other times he doesn't look fantastic. His efficiency isn't fantastic. His finishing isn't great. His shot selection can be iffy, and when his shot isn't falling, he struggles. He doesn't really have a right hand at the moment, but he's young. He's working on it. He's definitely improved in a lot of these areas. He just hasn't become great yet. I think, and while I would love to say, hey, let's trade everything, I want to be in the conference finals, I want to be competing for a title, I'm looking at the rest of the East and I'm saying, does that 5 beat Giannis? No. Does that 5 beat the Celtics? I don't know. Does that 5 beat Philly? Maybe. I don't think Philly's very good, honestly. I think it's Embiid. We don't know if what kind of Harden we're gonna get. If Harden is more like his MVP Harden, we don't beat him. If Harden's like Harden of the past 3 years, then yeah, like they're gonna beat that. So there's something maybe. And I just don't necessarily believe that Donovan Mitchell is going to be that difference maker if we're giving up all that draft capital. So let's say we want to get rid of draft capital, where we don't want to get rid of draft capital. What's that leave us? Well, we've got RJ Barrett, who's on his rookie deal. Would I trade? Ignore the money. If I could replace RJ Barrett on this roster with Donovan Mitchell, would I? That's tough. That's really tough. I think Donovan Mitchell is a better player right now. I think he could end up being a better player than RJ Barrett will end up being. If I had to do a 1-for-1 deal, but RJ Barrett is younger. He is, he was drafted in 2020, I believe it was his draft class. He was Zion's draft. So he's been in the league for 3 years now. He hasn't gotten his rookie extension yet. So he's been in the league for 3 years now. And Donovan Mitchell is on his extension, so he's been in the league for 5 years. So it's not that big of a difference. This is more just me kind of talking it out, honestly, more than anything, because I'm not totally sold on the Donovan Mitchell trade. If we were to give up RJ Barrett, throw in Evan Fournier to help make the salaries match, that brings us up to 25 million and 3 picks. RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, and 3 picks. 2 of them being New York Knicks first rounders, 2023, 2025, both unprotected. The third, another Knicks pick in 2027, lottery protected. And then we throw in some of these late, or not late, but protected picks that we got from other teams. These, top 10 protected picks, the Wizards pick, the Pistons pick, these picks, to just fill out the number of picks that they're getting. Then I would do it. If all I had to do was get rid of RJ, 2 picks, 2 unprotected picks, or even giving up the 2025 unprotected picks, like I would still want it to be like top 3 protected, which I know is kind of like at that point, Jazz aren't going to want to trade Donovan Mitchell, but honestly, Donovan Mitchell's not that good. Rudy Gobert is not that good. Like, it made sense for the Wolves to do what they did because they believe in Anthony Edwards and they didn't have to trade their core. And I don't want to give up 20,000 picks for Donovan Mitchell who's not a great passer, when already my roster consists of RJ, not a great passer, Julius Randle, not a great passer. He had 1 year of good passing, and we were a playoff team, but not a good passer. The only decent pass we've got is Derrick Rose. And then, like, what our centers are solid defensively. Well, our center Jericho Sims is not. I had some guy argue with me in the YouTube comments section that Jericho Sims was dominating in his rookie minutes at the end of the season. Patently false. The guy was lost on both ends of the floor all the time. Yes, he was showing signs of being a competent rotational player towards the end of the season. He was not dominating. Guys were resting. Guys were trying to tank, and Jericho Sims was getting his reps in. And sometimes he was bigger than whoever they had out there because they were just throwing guys out there. Jericho Sims is not a great player. He might be good. He might be solid. He's not going to be anything better than a backup center as far as I can see. He didn't flash to me anything that would suggest otherwise. So, not that this video isn't about Jericho Sims though. This is about Donovan Mitchell. And I don't think the Knicks should trade for him unless the price is right. And even the package I just laid out of RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, and 3 picks without all the extra first rounders that are like protected, that are like, whatever. Do I really want to give that up for Donovan Mitchell? It makes us better, but like, is that the direction we want to go in as a team? I don't effing think so. I'd rather trade Julius Randle or just, get off of Julius Randle's money, give the team to RJ, and then just draft. Like, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'd rather suck for 2 years and hope to hit on a good pick, get in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, because honestly, I don't think that Donovan Mitchell trade puts us in any contention conversations. I think the Warriors are going to be better than us. I think the Bucks are going to be better. Screw the Warriors, screw the West. The Bucks are going to be better than us. Celtics are going to be better than us. I'm going to pull up the East. I'm going to go through every team that I think is going to be better than us if we gave up literally no one, only picks. The Heat would be better than us for at least a year. The Celtics, the Bucks, the Raptors are going to be better than us in like 2 or 3 years. The Hawks are probably going to be better than us than in 2 or 3 years. The Cavs, I don't know about that. Cavs could be whatever. The Hornets, maybe if they get a trade, they get someone to pair with LaMelo. Who knows? So that's 6 teams. Like, I mean, get rid of the Cavs, get rid of the Hornets. You still got 4 teams: the Heat, Celtics, Bucks, and Raptors that are going to be better than us in the East. And then probably the 76ers too, even though I freaking hate James Harden. If he's been working out, maybe he's good again. It's just a bunch of bullshit, man. And they want us to give up 7 picks and like completely mortgage our future for this. Don't do this shit, Leon Rose. Don't let Danny Ainge like hoodoo you into giving up everything that the Knicks have for Donovan Mitchell. I love Donovan Mitchell. I want him on the Knicks, not at the cost of everything. If the price is right, do it. If not, go into the season, see what we've got with Julius Randle. If we've got something with Julius Randle and he's kind of playing back how he's normally was playing the year before last, okay, then we can talk about doing a trade. I don't want to give up everything, get Donovan Mitchell, to see in the new season that Julius Randle still isn't playing well, that he still doesn't want to be a New York Knick, and then just like being like, great, cool, we've mortgaged everything and we don't have a team. That's the worst case scenario. All right, that video was way longer than I wanted it to be. Thank you for watching. Drop a sub.